We're going to transition the presentation over to these guys now.
Just to kind of give a framework to all this new technology that's coming out, video production as of late has been a pretty lucrative industry for making accessories and things like that. And whenever there's a lucrative industry, it becomes competitive. And when it becomes competitive, what you get is really great products, really great innovation, and really great prices, which is why all of this is happening, and it's happening so quickly. So higher frame rates. To break this down in the simplest way that I can, a picture is a frame. They're interchangeable. So when you hear 24 frames per second, all that means is the camera is taking 24 pictures a second. And when you start to move up to 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second, the camera's taking more pictures in 1 second. And what that allows you to do is slow down time and have it look really smooth and fluid and good. If any of you have ever tried to slow down a video of your own and you don't have the frame rate set at the right level, what can happen is it looks really blocky and choppy and it doesn't look good. And then you'll watch SportsCenter and you'll see highlights of LeBron James dunking and it looks incredible and fluid and you see his muscles moving. Just imagine for a moment, you're holding a fundraiser. Well, you have, kids there, you have coworkers, you have people like that, and you've had this kind of dry, boring corporate video for the past couple of years. You want to spice things up. Just adding a little bit of slow motion, a smiling child, groups of coworkers laughing. It sounds kind of corny, but everything looks better in slow motion. If I could, I'd make a whole video in slow motion, and I'd never go back to reality ever again.
So, next, 4K cameras. I'm sure we've all heard about it. It's something you should definitely be thinking about. All the major networks are recording in 4K right now, and they're down-resing it to 1080p because, it is the next natural progression from 1080p. First there was standard def, then we have 1080p. 4K is about 4 times the resolution of 1080p. The internet's utilizing it first, and we're starting to be able to actually see the difference with our iPads with Retina display and the new MacBook Pros that are higher resolution than 1080p. So you can see that difference. So here are a couple different looks. So these are 2 very different lenses. And on the left side you can see a lens that's great to have a shallow depth of field. On the right, beautiful wide angle lens. So one camera that I'm sure we've all heard about has a fixed wide angle lens. That's the GoPro camera. That's also some new technology that has really changed the game.
So this is an extremely tiny, versatile camera that has seemed to have taken the world by storm. I'm sure most of you have heard about it. It was just featured on 60 Minutes. You'll see it in a lot of extreme sporting events and even regular sports, from surfing to basketball, football, baseball. What makes this camera so great is you can attach it to just about anything. So you can get a really unique perspective, and a unique perspective in turn means when you go to edit a piece, you can have more captivating content.
Yeah, and you can really put a GoPro literally anywhere. We've talked about the contrasting Hollywood versus corporate. I will say that they've been using these. You see the price point, you say $400, no one's using that. I don't know if you guys saw the movie Need for Speed. It was kind of like a Fast and Furious kind of ripoff. It came out about a month ago. But it was literally, they used probably about 5 or 6 of these on each of the crash scenes. And what they did was they put the cameras where the car was actually going to crash into it. Now you couldn't use the camera anymore after the car crashed into it, but you could still use the footage that it captured before then. And it was a way for Hollywood to do video using real cars for the first time, since CGI came along, and so it added a much more authentic, real feel to it.
That is not the only thing that's become less and less expensive, all these accessories. Quadcopter. This is really a remarkable, essentially helicopter that flies around and captures footage on a GoPro. You can put this thing into the sky and get shots that you haven't really seen before. So let's say you're at a convention center and you're holding a convention. You can fly this thing around the room at a convention, if of course you get the permits and permission to do so, and you have somebody who knows how to fly it. But you can get some really, really cool shots. And that again draws back to that idea of providing the viewer with something that they're not used to seeing.
Yeah, and it's being used super heavily in real estate, especially high-end real estate. It's also being used by things like golf courses. You have this mass, expansive area that you want to showcase.
So some other new things that have come out recently are LED lights. These LED lights are great for productions. Battery-powered, fast, quick, easy. They're lightweight. They don't get hot. For the technical professionals out there that want to change the temperature of the light, you can actually do that on these lights. So you don't have to bring as much equipment with you. You can be faster. You can do more with your time.
And that goes back to what we were talking about before of tungsten, fluorescent, and daylight. Those are the three main things. You can literally switch between the three right there. So it doesn't matter where you are, you plug this thing in, you
right
turn
on
the
the
knob,
back.
and now you have the right light that you need.
If you're trying to add production value, jibs are a great way to do that with motion. Steady cams are out there now, affordable as well. They are very technical, so you have to find an operator that knows how to use one to really get that effect. Color correction, very important aspect of the post-production process. I'll let Andrew take this away.
So this is kind of what you're seeing here. This is your second chance. If you, like Todd mentioned earlier, if you're at a convention center or you're someplace with funky lights and you can't control the lights, there's nothing you can do. You have to keep shooting. Color correction gives you an opportunity in post-production to go back and try to fix some of those images. Sometimes you have a lot of success, other times not. You should always try and shoot something right the first time, of course, but this is an alternative if you can. When I color correct, I look at exposure, color temperature, contrast, and consistency. So the image on the right is, of course, the uncorrected image. If somebody sees that, that's going to pull them away from your video. They're not going to be connected. They're going to be wondering why people look like aliens. In this particular frame, I increased the exposure on the left. I made it a little bit brighter, a little bit easier to see, and I made all the skin tones look normal by changing the color temperature. So sometimes you'll have an image that comes through and it looks fine, and then when you put it next to other images, it looks terrible, and they're not consistent. So consistency is another thing to look at. You want the whole piece to be consistent. You want your story to be the driving factor. You don't want things that are distracting your viewer. And once you've corrected the image and it looks normal, then you have the opportunity to put a look on it or a feel or a mood. And we warm this image up to make it look more inviting and more friendly.
These are like a lot of steps. We're throwing a lot of stuff at you guys. You don't have to do every single thing. You don't have to get the helicopter and do the slow motion and everything. It's like pick one and you know you'll see a market improvement, or just really focus in on the post-production side and really focus on fixing your color and adding warmth to it, or just things to try out. And again, as I said before, just things that you can talk to the professionals that you're working with and know that you can push them. And you can raise your expectations for what's possible, and they can't just say, oh, I can't make it look like I see on TV. Those guys have a lot more resources. I mean, it's true, they have a lot more resources, they have more people working on it, but the technology is available to you now so that you can execute some of this stuff.
All right, this long list, this is everything you would need to shoot something, to light something, to record sound, mics, you name it, and to edit it, all your programs, hard drives, you name it. Entire list of production and post-production for less than $30,000. These are the kind of things that we are able to do today, given the tools that we have access to.
Metadata, I like to call it the invisible hero, because this is how your videos get views. This is how your videos get found on the internet. Google's the #1 search engine. YouTube is the #2. Bing is the #3. They all use metadata to find the content that you post online, whether it's on YouTube or Vimeo or your own hosted website. Metadata encompasses three things. It encompasses titles, descriptions, and tags. Title your video something when it's finally over and it's all completed that you would actually click on. Title your video something that if you are a random stranger on the internet and you happen to stumble across, your website, or they were on YouTube and it was a related link on the side, have a video that you would actually click and a title that you would actually click. Otherwise, why is anyone going to click it? Make it enticing, make it engaging. An example of a bad title might be throwing a football. Why is that a bad example? It's just, there's nothing there. You don't know if you're going to watch a video of two people throwing a football. You don't know if you're going to learn something. You have no idea what the video is about. How to throw a football like Peyton Manning, that's an enticing title because there's a payoff. You're learning actually how to throw a football. So when you click on that video, you're going to get something out of it, guaranteed. In terms of descriptions, when you're describing your video, the best way I can put it is try and find something enticing to say. Summarize it, give people some background, but try and put a nugget in there, a sentence or two that makes the viewer want to keep on watching. The very last sentence here, this is all about cats. You can read it, it's very interesting. In this clip, John reveals all the techniques he learned to change his cat's behavior. So you get a summary up there if you want to read it and figure out what the video is about, but you also get a payoff. Somebody wants to watch this video because if they have a cat and that cat has behavior problems, they're probably going to find some techniques to train that cat. And tags are the final aspect of metadata. Think about a scenario where your coworker shows you a video and the video is great, and you love it, and you both laugh about it, and then a week goes by, and you want to show your friend this video, but you don't remember where you saw it, and you don't remember what it was called. Well, this is where tags comes in. Tags are phrases that people basically type into search engines to try and find your content. So, matching the example of the cat video, you could say something like, cat wears cute cat mittens. You know, your tags should be phrases that people are actually going to search. Nobody searches in one word tags, you know. If you're looking for a specific video, you're not just going to type in video on Google. You're going to type in what you remember about the video. So tags are like quasi-titles. You know, I think Metadata is a phenomenal tool. It's free. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to do, and it's definitely an aspect of video marketing that should not be forgotten, because if you do it poorly, your videos will never show up anywhere. And if you do it well, you have a chance of random people stumbling across them and getting more eyes on your content.
This is our second opportunity to present in front of AMADC, and we really appreciate it quite a bit. So thanks for having us here.